Okay, so what are modules in Python? So a module in Python is pretty much a file. Okay, so when you have a file of code, that is a module. Okay, and you can reuse the code that you put in that file when you import it into another file. So when you have a file, a Python file, and you find that py, you're creating a module. Now we can reuse this code by importing modules into others. Okay, and the way we do that is using the import keyword. So see here in this example, I have two files here. One file is called calculator and one file called main p1. Okay, so main, like in Python, it's not like in Java you have to have a function that's called main in order to execute the code. You can name your line, your file anything you want, but the convention is that you call the starting point of your program the main. Okay, so main with py is the starting point or the file that has the actual code. Okay, the reusable code that we have here, let's say we have a calculator.py. So it's just a simple Python file that has all different components that we can define in Python. So here, this is a constant. Now, you know, in Python, we don't use the const keyword or anything. If you just use the capital letters to define the name, then this would be considered constant. Okay, so this is a constant, and then we have a variable, and there's a function, and there is the class. So it's pretty much the all components that we can have. I mean, most common components we can have in Python: variable, constant, function, and class. Now we can find them all in one module. Now, whenever you need this code, you don't have to rewrite it. You can just reuse it in another file when you import. So import and then the module name. The module name is just the class, the file name without the extension. Okay, and once you have that, you can use that module name to access all the components defined in that module. All right, so you can say calculator.py, calculator.add. So you call it the function. Now this looks like it's an object. It's not an object. So the dot, we're using the dot operator as if it was an object, but it's not. So this is a module. Okay. Obviously, there's no class defined or anything. I mean, there's a class defined here. So this is different than saying comp dot. So this is message passing. This is calling a function through an object. This is not the same. This is just calling a component of a module. Okay. So now calculator the pi, we're calling the function, call it a constant. Creating an object out of a class. So whenever you need a component out of this module, you just use the module name. Okay? Now here, there is a variable called x in the calculator module, and there is a variable called x in the main module. When we use the module name like this, there is no problem because it is pretty clear. X, just simply x is the x inside the main. Calculator to the x is the x inside the calculator, right? Or imported from the calculator, right? So it's not a problem when we import the module like this. But it's not very convenient to keep it when the module name is a long name like calculator. Okay, it might not be very convenient. We can use to choose a short name that we call alias for the module. So now we are saying we imported calculator as calc. So just the short name. Now instead of using the complete name for the module to refer to its component, we just use the short name. Okay, we can even not use the name of the module altogether if we just imported the specific components. Okay, so if I have a component like person. So here I'm defining, I think I replace this. Sorry, ignore this slide. This is the replacement. Okay, so now I want just to import the class complex number. So I say from calculator, so from the module name, import complex number. So I'm not importing the add or x or the pi. I'm only importing this class. And I can refer to its name directly. Like this, I can create an object like this. I can use it as a parent. So I can use it as if it was defined within my module here. Okay? So here I inherited it and I just overloaded the get as a string function. Okay, so I just define as if it was defined in the same file. Now the only the only thing that we need to pay attention to is the possibility of name conflicts when you import components like this. So here, for example, we have a variable called x that is part of the main P1. And then I put the value 5 to it. Now, and then I later on in the code, I happen to import the x from calculator. Now, this old x will be overshadowed by the x that I just imported. Now, it can be confusing. So if you don't pay attention, you may reuse a name that you used in your local module and it might cause that confusion. Okay? Now, also worth noting, in Java and similar languages, you have to put all the imports on top of the file, right? Now here you don't have, you can put it anywhere you want. And that is, I mean, flexibility is good, but it can also cause confusion. Okay, so if you happen to have a variable somewhere in the code and then later on in the code, when you're not, this variable is not visible to you, you import something of the same name, it can be problematic. So a recommendation to avoid this kind of problem is to use this an alias with a short name to avoid this kind of problems, yes. Because x is here 10. Yeah. When you import a component like this, you don't need the module name, you can refer to it directly. And that overshadows the original x. Yes. It's the same idea for X. No, it's not the same like in Java. Okay. It's not similar in Java. It's just this is name conflict. Okay. So to avoid this kind of confusion, unless you're absolutely certain that there is no name conflict, don't import it directly like this. Okay, use an alias, a short alias, 2 letters. Like it's very common to use a 2-letter alias. It's not a big deal, and it's save us from this kind of confusion. All right. So we have 5 minutes. Do you want me to try this out, or you promise that you're gonna try it on your own? Promise? Okay. Everybody promise that you're gonna try it on your own. Then we're gonna conclude. Do you have a question? You promise? Okay. If you promise to try it on your own, raise your hand. Okay, so please don't ignore this. Reading code, you can't understand code by reading it. You have to try it out. Okay, so.